Since the invention of the highway, hitting the open road has been a dream for generations of Americans. There's plenty to experience out there for those who are willing to simply jump in a car and drive. Our country is huge, diverse, and has a rich history. But despite being such an amazing place to live, today many people see America as divided and hopeless. My name's Troy. I live in San Diego, California, where I work for the city exterminating bugs. It's not the greatest job in the world.
Chris.
That's my buddy Chris. He co-manages a hardware store way inland. Work gets pretty boring for Chris, but he finds ways to pass the time. That's our friend Eric, also known as Kuno. Kuno drives buses for a local university. His job stinks sometimes, but he always seems to stay upbeat. Okay, so here's the deal. Chris and I have been praying about going on a road trip with the goal of spreading hope across the country.
The whole road trip was pretty much my idea. Troy and I were actually roommates. We had been to Europe before and saw 14 countries over there. We had never seen a lot of the states here in our own country.
The motivation to take a road trip was to see America, and the inspiration was to be a light to people who don't know Christ. We wound up buying an old, beat-up 1963 Mercury Comet and started restoring it.
That was the perfect car, and it needed a lot of work.
We're all kind of, car guys. I was raised around cars. My parents both have convertibles. Basically, I was born with a wrench in my hand. We also contacted a bunch of companies about our trip, and the next thing we knew, we had all these sponsors helping out. After a lot of hard work, we had fully restored the classic convertible and named her Gretchen. The night before we left, I was nervous and I was exhausted from all the planning and packing. Tents, inflatable surfboards,
Lancers.
there it is. So we're going to spread the gospel right there. The day finally came and we were on our way. Kuno even came along as our designated weird video guy.
This is where we stick the cameraman.
What made me agree to be the video guy was I really liked the project. I really liked how Troy and Chris had a real passion to go out and see America and do something for the kingdom of God at the same time. It was right up my alley.
Our first stop was Lancaster, where Chris's uncle hooked us up with a new radiator.
Macedonian style.
Uncle Leo is a jolly Macedonian man who likes a good dance.
We got to hang out with all his grandchildren, 4 boys, and they're all hardcore motorcycle kids, man.
Leo's grandkid, Omar, even challenged me to a motorcycle race. It was pretty much a tie, I think. We ended up giving Omar a Bible, and he dove right into it. We couldn't believe that this young kid, just stoked on video games all the time, could pick up a book and just start reading it, and it was like a adventure novel to him. He's like, Jesus walked on water, Jesus walked on water, hey guys. We're like, this is so cool. This kid's like, is getting it, and you could see the truth sinking into his heart. Our next stop was the Sierra Nevada mountains for a little polar bearing.
It's about 30 degrees. Ready?
Diving into 33-degree water kind of feels like a slap on the whole body.
we are at one of the fallen sequoias. This is possibly where old Wild Bill died, maybe, or I don't know, a couple of Indians. There's nothing like driving through a Central California mountain range with the top down. Welcome to Hume Lake Christian Camps. This is the largest Christian camp on the West Coast.
That's all, folks.
Hume Lake was a neat opportunity for us to be able to share the love of Christ and encourage these kids to follow what they're passionate about.
We had a great time hanging with the kids, but it was time to hit the road again. Just outside Fresno, things got a little interesting. Basically, we're stuck here again. It's probably like the 5th time we've broken down this trip. We've only gone like halfway through California. How you guys doing back there?
It's hot.
Yeah.
Feels good though.
Are we gonna make it to North Carolina?
Heck yes we are.
Yeah, we're buzzed.
While we were waiting to get our car fixed, we met this retired Vietnam vet named Adam.
He just got done reading his Bible. He had put it in his pocket, in his chest pocket, and he got shot.
He got shot.
Yeah.
And what did the Bible do?
Just stopped the bullet, but that much of the tip went in.
Oh man.
I just held the Bible and just pushed it through and pulled the bullet out.
And so he was telling us how the Bible saved my life.
Right there, that's where he got shot, right there. It was cool to see a Vietnam vet who had an amazing story of God protecting him in the war. Thank you so much for defending our country. We really appreciate it, bro. Gresham was back in action, and we left Fresno with a new sense of appreciation for our Bibles.
I always keep one in my pocket as well.
Over that hill lies more good times for us to find.
We were super excited to cross the state line, and Crater Lake was amazing.
Lies more good times for us to find.
By the time we reached Portland, we were totally wiped out. Wake up. Where are we? While we were in Oregon, I also met this cute girl named Crystal. She was a pretty good dancer, so I made sure to get her digits.
Since then, it was all the time on the phone.
Hey Charlie, how's it going? You sound fun.
I hear she had to switch to Sprint a couple weeks later because the bill was so high.
Here we are at the Columbia River, and there's our friend behind us. That's my cousin Brian. He's the pharmaceutical rep. Yeah, Brian! Woo!
The Columbia River was a blast. First time in my life I'd ever gotten to ride on those inner tubes, but it's different when you're getting dragged behind a boat at like 50 miles an hour.
Purpose?
Oh, I didn't mean to.
By the end of the day, I was starting to feel a little tired. Then things got pretty ugly. Tube came up, pulled out my hands, whacked me in the nose, and I thought for sure my nose was gone. I'm like, great, I'm gonna need plastic surgery. I'm done. I think I broke my nose. After a fun day at the river, it was back to business. How old are you, Sage? 7 years old and rebuilding carburetors. Gretchen's exhaust needed fixing, and we were frustrated. But once again, God had a bigger plan. This time, a local news lady spotted us and asked us if she could do a story on our trip.
We were like, I can't believe this lady just saw us out of the blue and decided to do an interview on us. It was really neat.
While we were checking out downtown Spokane, we ran into some street kids.
My name's Sketch. I'm 19 years old, almost 20. I drink, I play guitar, I smoke pot, and I roam the country.
These kids in Spokane, they're just wandering around. They're pretty much homeless. And they're just living on the streets, using drugs, sleeping around.
What is freedom to you?
Not having to do anything.
Just doing what you
Just doing whatever pleases you, and if something holds you down, like cops or people, who cares? You know, go on, but like, go to jail, your time, get out, go do what you do.
right on.
You know, just be a cool person.
We were just trying to encourage them to go back to their families and seek out who Christ was.
Who is Jesus to you guys?
A guy that's hung like this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Wait,
If I knew, I am trying, right, to make it better, but it's never gonna happen because I don't know what I'm trying for.
It just made me appreciate everything so much more. It made me appreciate my parents. It made me appreciate the fact that I have a personal relationship with the living God. And man, our heart went out to them, and we wish that they could have that same thing.
Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one can come to heaven except through me. So he's like the bridge from us to God. A lot of people say, oh, you can get to heaven through works. That's not necessarily true. Like Ephesians 2:8-9 talks about that.
Don't do it because you feel guilty or because you feel like you have to. Do it because you want to. You know, if you're curious, if you're going through a hard time in life, just pick this up and read it.
Yeah. Our hearts were heavy for these kids as we continued on to Montana. Made it. Hey guys, guess what? We're in Montana.
When we went to Missoula, we just stopped to get some gas and ended up tagging along with some people and went to a football game.
We're here on the University of Montana school bus. Gonna go watch the homecoming game. Yep. Go. What do you guys call it? Cougars?
What?
What's Montana what?
Grizzlies.
Grizzlies! Go Grizzlies!
If you have a camera, you can pretty much get in anywhere, because that's all we did. Kuno just splashed the camera, and we're like, can we get some free tickets? And the lady's like in a daze, like, oh yeah, no problem.
Yellowstone National Park. We're about 3 weeks into the trip.
3 weeks?
Yep, 3 weeks. And we're about to watch Old Faithful go right now.
Yeah, oh, beautiful for space, that forever with a bridge. No wonder these things are extinct. Look how slow they're moving.
Majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. You just close the camera.
After a day at Yellowstone, we were all pretty tired and cranky. Plus, we had no place to stay.
We didn't know where to go. We're all arguing, and pulled over into a rest stop, started praying, and we saw this light on the hill.
We look up and there's a light kind of a little off a trail in the forest. We walk up there and there's an empty chapel.
As cool as the empty chapel was, it was still in the middle of nowhere, and we were all a little on edge. We're little spoons right now.
It could have been a creepy trucker's, you know, paradise if he came in and wanted to slaughter us or something. I'll get right by the door.
I'll sleep right here.
I can stay.
No way, dude. I'm sleeping right there. I'm sleeping right here.
Right, you sleep here.
So
I'll
then
sleep
the
there.
aliens can look
Eric
through
can sleep
my
there.
tray.
When the grizzly bear comes through the window, it'll eat Troy first.
Let's go get something to eat, come back, and crash out here. We roll into Chico Hot Springs, and we were actually looking into getting a room, but it was way out of our price range.
And some lady walked up to us and told us, hey, I love what you're doing. Why don't you guys stay in the room my husband and I were supposed to stay in? It ended up being the honeymoon suite. This is insane, dude. We didn't even get a regular. We got a whole cabin.
Our whole house. Sponsor.
Too much.
Jesus is our #1 sponsor, man.
Amen.
You're sleeping there.
I'm sleeping on a cot, too.
And then we decided to go over to the restaurant and get some free food. We're in the back alley right now, trying to score some free food.
We're in the kitchen.
And
The chef just told us.
he has some pork chops. What's your name?
Chris. That's my name too, right on.
Chris is hooking us up with pork chops. It's like Hurricane Katrina, soup kitchen style. And yeah, Chris is enjoying his
So good.
We knew we were in God's plan because there's no way that anyone could score this much free stuff.
Chico, where else would you want to be?
As we headed the rest of the way across Montana, we passed through the famous battlefield of Little Bighorn, the famous site of General Armstrong Custer's last stand against an army of Sioux and Cheyenne Indians. See all these grave sites here.
It all happened on one day.
Yeah, one day, June 25th, 1876.
I got memories of Californians rainy days.
Close as you can.
And I remember when we
Get closer. That's a tame one, dude. Troy has a real problem with harassing the animals, local wildlife.
We were all excited to see Mount Rushmore, but actually seeing it turned out to be harder than we thought. So basically, we're fogged out. Someone did a crazy magician trick and made all disappear all this fog.
It's got special effects.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool. It makes it more like mystical. Oh wait, look, it's clearing up.
There it is,
There it is.
Mount
Awesome.
Rushmore.
God bless America, my home, sweet home. Play ball and praise the Lord.
We're here at Wall Drug. We don't know what to expect. These guys seem to do about everything. And we're looking for a 6-foot chicken.
This is the kind of entertainment you can see at Wall Drug for a quarter. You can get entertained by a giant singing gorilla.
There's a man in the funny papers we all know. His name is Ali Ooh.
It really is 6 feet tall.
We gotta show
On a whim, would you jump in your car and go on a 2-month road trip without knowing where you're headed or where you'll stay?
Well, that's what 3 men from San Diego, California decided to do. And along the way, they're trying to share their message and inspiration for the trip. KSFI's Aaron Lindman caught up with them in Sioux Falls today.
We woke up and we said, hey, let's go on a road trip. And this whole thing kind of just materialized within 2 months.
Chris, Troy, and Eric. 3 friends from Southern California who wanted to take an old-fashioned road trip. They bought a 1963 Mercury Comet, fixed it up, got sponsors to back their journey through the United States, packed their faith, some clothes, and hit the road.
We've always had a passion to see our country and inspire people to enjoy and live the American dream.
The dream of seeing parts of the country that one may not see otherwise.
And that's kind of how we see ourselves, like trying to reinvent the Lewis and Clark in a modern era.
They have toured just 7 states, but plan to hit almost every other state before returning home to San Diego in late November. In Sioux Falls, Aaron Lindman, KSFY.
Nothing says America like harvesting your own field in a combine. And Kuno's cousin Barry was happy to take us along for the ride. That evening, we spoke to the youth group at Barry's church.
These kids were just blown away at the fact that 3 young guys could do something like this, that they could take a trip like this and do it for a purpose like this.
Every single time we break down, someone hears the gospel. And that's kind of like what our whole trip is about. It's walking by faith. It was cool to see the kids excited about what we did, and it was contagious. You could tell they want to do the same thing. They're like, hey, we want to Facebook you, we want to MySpace you, let's keep in touch. The kids put together a secret offering for us and donated $300 towards our trip.
We know a lot of the farmers weren't doing so good, and people were broke, and they gave to try and promote the gospel, and I was really affected by all that. I was really encouraged.
The next day, we traveled to Kuno's grandmother's house in Bridgewater.
Here we are at Eric's granny's house.
Oh. Bridgewater, South Dakota.
Population 670.
We're good friends.
She had a sweet picture of Kuno during his goofy teenager phase. We headed up to visit more of Kuno's relatives in a local Hutterite colony. His cousin, Mike Hofer, showed us around.
Hutterites are awesome. They are classic people. I mean, you could say they're kind of like the Amish, but they're not. They use the modern day technology to accomplish their purpose. They live in their little colonies. They dress in their little clothes. Man, their hearts are like this big.
They just stick to themselves and work pretty hard and don't have any of the luxuries that we have as far as TV and everything, and seem to be doing just fine without them.
We said goodbye to our new friends and headed east to Wisconsin.
Triplet trouble, here we go. Woo! Hang on.
It's October 8th. What's the date? 2005, I guess. It's my birthday. And I'm sleeping in a car in Milwaukee. We made Eric sleep outside.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear
Troy Bonnie.
Happy birthday to you.
Yep, having my birthday in Milwaukee.
So we were downtown Chicago, cars everywhere, taxis honking their horn, and then we started hearing this, horn honking. We're like, what's going on?
We're from San Diego. We're on a road trip around the United States.
I know, my daughter's heard of you guys.
Oh, has she really?
Yes.
I saw you on the news. I can't believe it. You guys are here in Chicago. We're like, wow, this is pretty cool. We're like celebrities. We finally made it to the birthplace of our car, Dearborn, Michigan.
Welcome to Michigan. Woo!
The Henry Ford Museum, they liked what we were doing and they comped us some free passes.
But if you smile at me,
This place was like heaven for classic car lovers like us, with pieces of history behind every rope. This is the Lincoln chair. One of our greatest presidents got shot, and the streaks of blood are still there. Ford's car was a Lincoln, and Lincoln got shot in the Ford Theater. That's pretty crazy.
One of the coolest things we saw at the Ford Museum was the original road trip car. I mean, this thing had sponsors. We thought we were the pioneers in this. No, this thing's like 100 years old, and yeah, someone else did the trip before us.
We also took a tour of the historic Greenfield Village in a classic Model T. The village is full of both historical buildings and irritable wildlife.
They call themselves Lewis and Clark and a third guy with a camcorder. 3 young men on the road trying to capture everything good about America.
On the front seat sits a matching red copy of the New Testament. Yeah, these dudes from San Diego are real road tripping modern missionaries. From sunrises on farmland to where the buffalo roam to the city where the automobile is king. The 20-something trio has spread hope and positivity, recording all of it for a future documentary. And they've done it relying almost exclusively on the kindness of strangers. No cross-country pilgrimage in a classic Ford would be complete without coming to the car's birthplace.
Mark my words, this car will be in this museum.
Good luck, boys, and Godspeed. In Dearborn, Jason Carr, Fox 2 News.
We hope they have a safe trip.
It had been way too long since we last surfed, so we decided to see what the waves were like in Pennsylvania.
We are surfing Lake Erie right now. Everyone on the whole road told us it's going to be freezing cold, but it's amazing. It's a beautiful sky, the water is perfect temperature, and we're just having a blast. Thank you, Jesus.
The greatest thing about surfing the Great Lakes is that there's no sharks.
Surfing on Lake Erie in mid-October? What are these two thinking?
We're from San Diego, and that's one of the things we do out there.
They said he was Troy.
They're traveling the country in a 1963 Mercury Comet convertible, trying to see how America's changed over the past 40 years.
We want to spread hope and encourage other people and inspire them to do the same thing that we're doing, to enjoy the land that God's created for us.
The traveling trio hopes to be home by Thanksgiving.
For our next stop, we decided to venture just outside the U.S. into the land of turtlenecks and back bacon.
Top down. And we're in Canada, eh, Ozer?
Standing at the foot of Niagara Falls, just felt, you could feel the power of God, just like.
Millions of gallons of water come over this cliff, and you're standing there awestruck like,
We rolled into Boston and found a secret entrance into America's finest university.
Mom, I made it to Harvard. I'm in Harvard. I actually made it.
Chris taught a class in Truth 101, and we reenacted the ride of Paul Revere.
The Redcoats are coming! The Redcoats are coming! The Redcoats!
We were hungry that night, so in classic road trip style, we crashed a wedding. And they invited us over. Super friendly, you know, Tony type guys.
Hey, Boston loves Road Trip U.S.A.
Yeah, this guy just got married. Congratulations.
Once the wedding was over, we had to make some last-minute sleeping arrangements.
kind of creepy in here.
We're sleeping under the tables.
We're gonna get in trouble.
How come you just didn't pay for a hotel room?
It's $200.
It was cheap, wasn't comfortable, but it was cover from the rain.
It's a good night's sleep.
As we were leaving the reception hall, we thought we were busted. We were walking out, and this guy is like, "Hey, have you seen Jimmy?" We're like, sleeping back under this arm, pillow under this. We're like, "I haven't seen Jimmy, sorry." He's like, "Okay, if you see him, tell him I'm looking for him." I'm like, "Gotcha."
Did you film that?
Yeah.
I think the Lord just did like this Jedi move on one of the chefs.
This is where it all started right here. Pilgrims. Little muskets, buckled shoes.
On our way out of Boston, we checked out Plymouth Rock, where the original Pilgrims landed, and sampled the famous New England clam chowder.
Gotta try the clam chowder.
We arrived in Montauk with good reason to be excited.
Whoa, those are the waves!
After a long drive, there's nothing like jumping in the ocean.
Road Trip USA.
We're on Road Trip U.S.A.
Driving through downtown Manhattan felt like being inside a pinball machine from the 1970s. There was like bright lights and things bumping you and honking and people screaming. It was crazy. We're in Philly eating real Philly cheesesteak. This place called Jim's. It's been real famous since 1939. Mom, I love you. Is this Independence Hall? The only sweeter thing than freedom is Hershey's chocolate, which brought us to our next stop. We're about to go through the Hershey Chocolate Factory, the sweetest place on earth.
Before you go, please give us your best Hershey smile. We'd like to add your photo to the Chocolate World Family album. Ready, here we go.
On our way out of Pennsylvania, we stopped at Gettysburg, where the most famous battle of the Civil War took place. Fire! At long last, we made it to our country's capital, a place where you can't help but feel proud to be an American. I think not only every American, but every person in the world should check out Washington, D.C. once in their life. Hello? President Bush, is that you?
Yeah, how'd you know?
Hey, you pulled a fast one on me. As we walked back to our car, we were shocked at what we saw. Our car is on the sidewalk.
The sign doesn't say anything
about you can't park after 4.
Picked up our car and they put it on the sidewalk.
Hey, you guys are from California, right?
Who moved our car?
From the street.
Get the heck out of here.
Oh, $100.
We have a nice view of the White House.
After 7 weeks in a car together, we desperately needed a break. So we headed to the Outer Banks of North Carolina to visit some good friends. The Outer Banks are known for warm hospitality and good surf. Thankfully, the swell came up while we were there.
In North Carolina, they give all the tourists these bright red wetsuits to get rid of them. Shark bait.
Noah Snyder is the best surfer in town, and we were excited to share some waves with him. Before leaving town, we spoke at the local church about our adventures and shared about everything God had provided along the way.
Ben of the bins.
You're using the crab claw?
Outer Banks, thank you for your southern hospitality. You guys were great. We hung out with some friends in Charleston who gave us a tour of their town. They introduced us to new things like grits.
This is called grits. Everyone in the South eats this stuff.
Jelly.
Kind of like cream of wheat.
Thursday, the Coastal Carolina Fair is coming in town, which is AKA heaven.
If you haven't experienced the fair in South Carolina, you need to.
Well, now you're getting ready. Hey, costume ball, how? What you wanna be?
This is my white tiger. Yeah!
They had $5 helicopter rides, and when it was our turn, I was so excited. I started running at the helicopter, and I did the "oh, what a feeling," and I hopped in the helicopter, and the pilot looked over at me and said, "You darn fool, you almost darn chopped your head off." And I'm like, goodness, he's right. I was thinking it was like an airplane, you know, where everything comes out the back, but little did I remember that there's a blade spinning 1,000 miles per hour above my head. When the fun was finally over, we journeyed to the nation's oldest city, St. Augustine, Florida.
So my forefathers, Pedro the Terrible, I don't know if he really exists, came here, conquered someone, and they built this fort right behind us. So let's go check out my heritage.
I'm Pedro the Terrible, Troy's great-great-grandfather.
He's here, he exists. I told you guys.
Can I see your sword? Can't pull it out.
After reuniting with Pedro, we headed south, making a quick pit stop in Daytona Beach.
We're at Daytona 500. Here's the hot dog right now.
We were in this dark parking lot looking for a place to stay at one of the hotels there. And this guy walked up to her car.
Nice car, man. Thanks, bro.
He was saying that he was headed to Mexico to get medical treatment because he had cancer, colon cancer.
Would you like a Bible?
Yeah, I'll get you one.
Troy did a really good job just caring for the guy, just stopping what he was doing and caring for this guy who was just totally down and out. It just seemed like the guy needed something real bad, and so I just figured he needed Jesus, so I just asked him if he needed Jesus.
Did you ever ask Jesus in your heart?
We explained to Jim that Jesus was the bridge to get to God. God can't be near sin. We all have sin, and if you ask Jesus to forgive you for your sin, that's what he came and died for. He paid the price for Jim.
Dear Heavenly Father, I just pray for Jim right now, Lord. I pray for him. He was telling us there was something in him that couldn't say the word Jesus. We're like, wow, this sounds like spiritual warfare. And so we prayed with him 2 or 3 times, and eventually he repented of his sins and accepted Christ. And it was cool because he told us, he said it was like a burden was lifted off his shoulders when he said the name of Christ.
It's just overwhelming right now.
Okay.
We hope that Jim is doing well now and that he's still reading the Bible that we gave him.
How you doing?
There's a gator in the swamp, right next to our Comet.
That's a big one.
It's a live alligator. Go poke it with a stick. Alligator right here. I want to feed him a brownie.
These things can launch like 25 miles per hour from what I hear. Straight shot right at you.
Shut up! You gotta move!
I think the guy was warning us. Not the smartest thing to do. He's gonna run, dude. He's gonna run, dude. He's gonna run. He's gonna run. No.
Hey, get down there. I was hoping the alligator would come after us and we could get some great footage. But little did I know, fire ants ended up coming after us instead. There's stuff biting our feet! Fire ants! Let's get the heck out of here! Hey, there's fire ants! Since the weather in Florida was so warm, it became a lot easier to find places to sleep. We had a rude awakening one morning as a bulldozer was cleaning hurricane debris off the beach. 50% of all shark attacks happen right here in Florida. So we got a 50-50 chance we're gonna get bit. After our hobo shower, we headed to the local surf shop to get some info about the hurricane damage.
Looks like Las Vegas.
The hurricane came up through like northeast and it covered pretty much the whole state of Florida, but the most part damage is here in West Palm Beach, and you're gonna pass it on your way down to the Keys.
Hurricane Wilma caused over $20 billion in damage across southern Florida. It looked like a nuclear bomb had gone off.
I don't know if I even have words to describe how crazy it was, but it definitely put a desire in our hearts to help out somehow, any way we could while we were there.
We're here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida at the Calvary Chapel with Samaritan Purse Disaster Relief. We're gonna help clean up some of the aftermath of Hurricane Wilma. We're gonna be tarping houses and clearing up brush and falling down trees. These guys are awesome.
That's a poisonous one.
No.
You guys are amazing.
After a hard day's work, we jumped off a bridge into a shark-infested canal to cool off. From there, it was off to our next destination.
10,000 miles! From San Diego to Miami. We just broke 10,000.
Hey, we're out on the Florida Keys. Just past Key Largo, we're heading to Key West. In Key West, we were treated to a free day on a charter boat. Wayne from Danger Charters had heard about our road trip and was happy to take us out.
The guy just found out what we were doing and wanted us to come out there and film the experience so we could share it with everyone.
Yeah, drinks, food, music, snorkeling. I mean, your honeymoon doesn't get better than that. I would not bring Chris or Kuno on my honeymoon. We rejoined the mainland and headed to the world's largest swamp for one of the scariest and funnest parts of the trip.
You got the wind blowing through your hair, you got crocodiles trying to bite off your toes, and you're having a blast.
Saltwater crocs are vicious. You do not even get as close as we did with this one, a saltwater croc. You stay away from them. I'll tell you what, they will attack anything, inanimate, alive, dead, it doesn't matter.
Hey, don't be a sissy, dude.
That was excellent. Everglades, baby.
Everything was going great, then Gretchen started acting up again.
About an hour outside of Nashville, and our car started smoking.
Smitty, the local mechanic, told us it would take 2 days to fix our car.
We've been here 32 years, and we treat everybody right. And I don't smoke, don't drink, never done anything wrong. Don't lie, cheat, and steal, no matter where you come from.
All right, God bless you, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
right.
Meanwhile, Kuno had to take a detour of his own.
Cracking up, I'm gonna split up with y'all for a little while.
Kuno got a call from his friend saying that his friend was dying from cancer, and he decided to go visit his dying friend in Oklahoma.
Later, bro.
My characters.
Where are we right now? In Top School, Tennessee. Last night we almost froze.
They're found tempted to beat it down.
We were just finishing up our breakfast and we decided to have a little Bible study. And apparently some people that saw us thought it was really cool that two young guys would have a Bible study after breakfast, and they decided to just come up and pick up our tab.
It's a blessing to see y'all studying your Bible.
So what are you gonna do for us?
We're gonna pay your bills.
Oh man, you guys are awesome. You guys are awesome.
That's just like the body of Christ, you know, looking out for one another. And I was just really amazed. After breakfast, we were shown around town by Smitty's son, Carl.
What are we doing? We're hitchhiking with Carl right now.
Yeah, there you go.
Where are we going to? What town?
Going to the Savage House.
Savage House. Let's go check out some hot rods.
Carl took us to see one of the most famous cars in the world, the General Lee.
You ever wonder where they keep the Charger? You know, the Yeehaw! Dukes of Hazzard has the backwoods of a Tennessee man's house.
We got to actually take pictures inside of it and sit inside of it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah! Oh, howdy! Let's get going. Boss Hog's hot on our tail for making that moonshine up in the hills.
Yeah, but Daisy Duke's coming. You stay here.
She's your cousin, you pervert.
You take off. I'm waiting for Daisy.
The guy swore upon his life that this was the actual General Lee, but I really don't think it was the original one.
Have you had any celebrities stop by the shop here?
Let's see, Chuck Norris has been here.
Chuck Norris?
Yep, we worked on his.
Carl decided to show me a move that Chuck Norris had taught him. Okay, that was weird. Thankfully, Gretchen was fixed just in time for our first show at the Grand Ole Opry.
Dixieland delight. Spend my summer barking a hole beneath the mountain moonlight.
Welcome to Nashville, Tennessee. Country music's best place to be.
Filter love.
Are you a country music musician?
Yep.
Are you gonna make it big in Nashville?
Hope so.
What's your name, man? My big sea land alive.
We stopped in Dallas to see the spot where JFK was assassinated.
That's the spot where it happened.
Crystal was in town on business, so I couldn't have been happier. It was there we had our first date. So it was exciting, my heart was racing, just trying to figure out, the small questions, how many kids you want to have, and when do you want to get married, stuff like that, It was a good date. She went away thinking I was pretty cool, and so mission accomplished. After leaving my heart in Dallas, we pressed on to Austin, where we rejoined our long-lost cameraman. We're here in Austin, the state capital of Texas. Let's go inside and see if we can go talk to one of the senators or governors.
Texas is pretty much the only place where you could walk into the state capitol, past the marshals with the cowboy hats, and actually get to meet a senator.
Senator, how you doing?
You didn't tell me what kind of film they were making.
How you doing, Senator? I'm Troy.
Hey, Troy.
We actually did. His name was Gonzalo Barrientos.
How long have you been a senator here in the state of Texas?
20 years.
20 years? Really? That's wonderful. Gonzalo was the nicest guy ever. He told us all about life in Texas and showed us around the Capitol building.
I love the Road Trip U.S.A. Hook 'em horns.
Yeah.
Right now, the media is kind of portraying America as high gas prices, and there's always fear of terrorism, and we just knew there was more to America than I guess what a lot of the media portrays.
3 months, 30 states, 13,000 miles, and some odd sights.
Brings new meaning to spare tire, eh? So many young people are out there apathetic now and kind of callous, and they don't think that the world can still offer them the American dream that's out there. And for us, we just want to encourage people to do that.
Jim Swift, KXAN, NBC, Austin.
Why can't you be true? Only believe. Why can't you be true? It's not about doing the thing you used to do.
I knew it. Let me see.
After a long journey through the New Mexican desert, we crashed out in Pagosa Springs before our last day of driving.
It's the last day of the road trip. We have to go all the way to the Grand Canyon and back to San Diego. We don't know how long it's going to take, but we need to leave right now.
The Road Trip U.S.A. will continue after these short messages. We drove through 4 corners, where you can actually visit 4 states in less than a minute.
We're in Texas.
We're in Texas.
4 states.
What? Arizona, Utah, Arizona,
now New Mexico,
New Mexico,
Washington,
Arizona. From my front porch you can see the sea. I got some do-do-do-do-do in Arizona.
Finally, the Grand Canyon, last leg of the trip.
The Grand Old Canyon right here.
That's the Colorado down there.
Tell us what dude Chris is gone for, man. It was nice knowing you.
As we stared down into one of God's most stunning creations, we were able to reflect on what an amazing trip it had been. We had driven 15,000 miles across 34 states. We passed out 150 Bibles, were able to pray for and encourage tons of people, and made friends that we'll have for our entire lives.
Gretchen kind of turned the whole thing into breakdown ministries. It seemed every time we would break down somewhere, someone would get impacted with the gospel. It was a really cool thing that God used our weakness with the car breaking down to show His strength and to get His point across to someone.
Whether it was a place to stay, a meal to eat, or a fun time to be had, there was always someone with a big smile and a big heart to help us out. We got hooked up everywhere we went. It was basically like having a I'm God's son VIP card.
Free parts for the car all the time, free rooms, tons of meals, camping gear, free blow-up surfboards, which we used quite a bit, free football games.
Comped passes to different theme parks and attractions.
Museums, rides and combines, news, interviews like 7 times.
Free airboat tour, free sailboat tour.
I mean, I couldn't believe that. I even met my future wife. It was total confirmation, 100%, the whole time. It was like something I've never experienced before. It was definitely supernatural.
I just think about how much of a privilege it was to be able to go on this trip. How this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing that we can never relive. Or how blessed we are that we live in this kind of country.
The media paints a picture of a country that's fragmented, but we found that all the different pieces fit together to create a beautiful mosaic.
We live in the best country in the world, there's no doubt about that. And we saw that firsthand on this trip, and we're so blessed that we were able to do it.
Lost myself out on the road. Welcome home. Oh, welcome home. Welcome home. It all started one morning about the year 2005. 3 good friends had a dream, then decided to take a drive. They want to go and see America and tell them Jesus can set you free. So they loaded the convertible, the old 1963, singing now thank you Lord for this old Ford that get us down the road. Let us get home safe again so the story can get told.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody!
Happy Thanksgiving to you too. And did you miss your mom?
Chris, Troy, and Eric, and these guys just got done with an amazing road trip. And you went to how many states, and what was the point of it?
34 states, 15,000 miles, trying to spread hope and encourage other youth and the American population to do the same thing.
Everyone's scared of terrorism and high gas prices nowadays, and we just want to live the American dream. We wanted to recreate the road trip like Lewis and Clark style, you know, just go around the country
exactly.
and experience what it was like 40 years ago.
Now, as the photographer, as the camera guy, you probably saw some stuff you've never seen before, huh?
Some incredible things.
Yeah.
How people's lives get changed, actually, because we were actually handing out Bibles and stuff like that on the way, too. We also,
like missionaries.
Modern missionaries.
Road trip and missionaries.
Now you're back, and
we're back. We got 40 hours of film, and we're gonna make a movie out of this, hopefully.
We love our country. We love the freedom that we have here. We love our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and our families. So we want to do this for America, you know.
Right on. You guys ran out of gas.
Yeah, we're
so
broke.
You're looking for gas donations as well. You're broke. After that road trip, you guys had no money left.
To the plains. Leaves are changing, still gators raging, the Everglades. From coast to coast, all through New England. You may kiss your bride. Southern mansions and grand canyons and big old trees. Singing now, thank you, Lord, for this old Ford that got us down the road. You got us all home safe again, now the story can get told.